Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 5 of What If Naruto had the rarest bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way over on Anime King and Anime King 3. Yes guys, I have 3 channels. Anime King, this Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. Go ahead and click those red subscribe button. Links will be in the description and join the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as Sarutobi was against the Kazekage, going to make a deal with Naruto at Darkness. As the third Kazekage had no idea what the man had against Naruto that way, as the man seemed to outright hate Naruto with all of his might. But he simply told Sarutobi that he was going there regardless of what he say. Sarutobi could not pull out of the hidden sand, as he needed many things from them. But he was pissed off as he left, as he gave the man a warning, but the Kazekage didn't really mind that. After all, Sarutobi wasn't the only powerful Kage, as the man was known as a powerful Kazekage for a reason. As Sarutobi had spoken to the Uzumaki leader as well, but without a threat, but the man still didn't comply. Meanwhile, as Naruto was back home, as he was thinking about, well, what happened back when he faced off against Hanzo, Danzo, Shamira. That man had came and messed up everything as Hanzo wanted to sign a peace treaty with them, so the Akatsuki and him could work together. But Danzo had messed everything up by killing Hanzo man, and also starting a war between him and the Akatsuki, as Naruto had brutally sliced up Danzo, removing his arm and sliced him up badly. Danzo used a quick teleportation as he was able to escape, as Naruto felt pissed off if he had just killed Danzo back then probably none of this stuff ever happened. As Naruto waited for the Kazekage to arrive, everyone wanted to know what was going on. The peace treaty was held in the shapeshifters compound. As everything went well, everyone cheered when they saw Boatman came out as Naruto held up a stroll as they signed the peace arrangement between them. But then one of Danzo's pawns appeared. It was a girl, as she had explosive tags strapped to her. As Naruto moved forward to remove the cyanide pill from her mouth, but she already took it, as the tags went off. We then went into a flashback, as Naruto had already planned out everything. A boy from the Kurama clan named Onion, with a rare genjutsu. As Naruto had spoken to him, and his sister that he called Carrot, as Naruto knew that it would be tough on a Jinchuriki to be isolated, so he wanted her to befriend Kushina, and yes, to keep her grounded, and to make sure that she was there for her. As Carrot accepted, Onion accepted his job as well. His was more difficult though, as he spent 6 months at the orphanage. Yes, 6 months he spent there. In those 6 months, as many things happened, Danzo sent his route once again to try to destroy the form that the sand was creating, but they were stopped. Many more attacks came, as Suwaki had a general force under her that she controlled. They were called the Goto Force, as many of them had bloodline to blend their body into the surroundings, like literally fuse down with the earth, made them good infiltration and attack experts. Danzo came by the orphanage as he did every once in a while to get new root members. It was then that he saw Onion's eyes, as he knew something was wrong as Onion activated the genjutsu while Suwaki was controlling his body. As she activated the genjutsu, everything froze. Danzo couldn't move, as he realized he was being controlled, as full possession was taking over his body. As he picked up Onion, his roots looked at him strangely to see him walking out with a kid, but he told him to go away and get back to their post immediately. But he wasn't talking, as he was being controlled, as he couldn't even break this genjutsu. He was brought straight towards the command post where Tsunade and Orochimaru had came and waiting for Naruto. As he entered, he saw Naruto sitting at the table, waiting for him. So yeah guys, so it's basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across the playlist and check out for yourself. So this begin this new episode. Well done, Onion, said Naruto, as he was sitting behind the rectangular table. He wasn't wearing his leader robes. He was wearing a normal shinobi attire, with a Jonin vest, black shirt, black pants, with dark red streams going down them. And he had a set of kunais and shurikens, as they were on the table to one side. Suwaki came by as she helped Onion off of Danzo's back, as she placed him on the ground, as her eyes crinkled up in a smile. "I'm very proud of you," she said, as she directed the one-eyed man into the seat opposite of Naruto. As Naruto looked towards her, "Please, get him something to eat. He's done a really good job tonight." As he looked towards Onion, Onion felt his chest fill with pride. "You can take down that genjutsu now. I've got this," said Naruto. The haziness over Danzo's face instantly left. As he was about to move, he tried to, but a rope made from smoke grabbed onto him from under the table and slammed him down. Suwaki grabbed Onion by his shoulder as she turned him around, blocking his view of Naruto and the captive. "Let me show you something cool, Onion," she said, as she lightly clicked the door shut, sapping out more of the light, leaving only a shining bulb above them. Danzo was fuming as he glared towards Naruto, as Naruto had a rather impassive look on his face. He looked towards each corner of the room, where there was a mist of darkness just hovering there. "Those are thunder clouds, but they do more than just shock. It will be in your best interest not to do anything you'll regret, Danzo." Danzo placed his hand on the table as he twitched towards his ninjato, but he did not move to retrieve it. "You were so far down my list of priorities, I almost even forgot about you." As Naruto leaned forward, "Mr. Lord Author of Death, you fall before you could even live up to that threat. It would have been best if you had remained in hiding. The Hokage was smart enough to stop bothering me. Haven't you wondered why?" Danzo snarled slightly. "What do you want, brat?" he asked, as Naruto tapped him on the forehead, everything in there. "I will never talk," Danzo said. "They all do eventually," said Naruto. "Not you. I don't need you to talk. I'm guessing since you haven't killed yourself already, you don't have a cyanide pill on you, or you have too much going on for you to simply kill yourself. So like I said, I don't need you to talk exactly, Danzo. A few interrogation methods come to mind, but I got something better." His right hand went towards his mask as he clicked it off, as he slowly lowered to the table. Danzo's eyes widened to what he saw. An hour later, as Danzo stepped outside, he was instantly surrounded by the members of the Gato team. "He can go," Naruto said from inside. A small smirk flipped on Danzo's face as he headed off. Back to Konoha. Flashback. In the past hour, hidden art, smoke release, snake demon possession clone jutsu. The world around them changed. He was on his feet as everything was burning. Black smoke tearing through the landscape. The sky was light gray and the moon was pitch black as the entire place felt like death. As Danzo felt like he was in a field in the underworld, the demonic world shifted and Naruto warped in front of him, standing 3 feet away from him, as his blue eyes glowed darkly down towards Danzo. He had no skin on his lower jaw. That is what was under the mask. It looked like the skin there, and the skin just under his nose shrunk, as what was there was pearly white teeth that seemed to be grinning all the time, curved up into a wicked, cruel, demonic smile. The shark-like teeth open as a demonic laughter escaped his throat. As Danzo felt dread. For the 3rd time in his whole life, he felt like his soul was being weighed down. His stomach was turning as his limbs refused to listen to him. And 2 times now, it was because of this man, or beast. Yes, this thing in front of him. He did it to him 2 times now. And now this. Danzo didn't know when it happened as he crumbled up on his knees, looking up at the dark, deadly gaze of the man, or this beast, whatever he was. As Naruto grabbed Danzo by his neck, forcing the man's head further back, his jaw then creaked open as he roared. Black smoke bellowed out of his mouth as the black smoke consumed Danzo, pouring all over him. Some smoke seeped into Danzo's mouth as it tunneled straight down into his lungs. The smoke that hadn't entered his mouth slithered into his pores and fastened into his body. The smoke stopped pouring as the man was looking up at him with horrified eyes. As his eyes turned black. Yes, Danzo's eyes turned black, fully black. I almost feel sorry for you, Danzo, said Naruto. As black tears ran out of his eyes and his ears as he started to shake. As Naruto's hands were firmly set around Danzo's neck, looking directly into his eyes through all of it. This is a painful way to die. Do you know why? The smoke billowing from Naruto's upper jaw, masking the nothingness of his lower jaw. Because it takes quite the time for it to allow you to die. Strong winds start to pick up as a haunting scream could be heard, echoing everywhere. You can hear your comrades scream. The first thing to go was Danzo's chakra core. The smoke broke down the pathways in Danzo's body, piecing them back together as their sole controller. It will rush to the heart, and at that point Danzo won't be able to do anything. Well, not like he could do anything in the first place. The smoke demon possession clone rushed through Danzo's body gradually, soaking through every muscle, digging into organs, attacking cells, dominating Danzo's entire system. It would then go into his head, creating deadly pockets of smoke inside. Also, with Naruto Lightning release, it tripled the effect of the smoke, negating anything within Danzo's mind, as his brain got shrunk to the size of a small stone. With the water lightning smoke, it was just around it like a ball, keeping Danzo suspended. The smoke would carefully hollow out his bones, oozing through them and dry up Danzo's bone marrow. The bone itself will stay strong, but it will be completely, utterly saturated by Naruto smoke. And it was also agonizingly painful. Well, for Danzo. Human logic couldn't even describe the amount of agony, the amount of pain and suffering that Danzo was currently in at the moment. As Naruto laughed, this time calmer, and not really saturated with so much evil intent. Danzo didn't know when he fell back in his chair. The weapons flipped back down to the table as the dark, twisted floor returned back to grey concrete. The wall of the interrogation room rose out from the ground and the roof slammed on top. As Naruto looked towards the possessed man, his right hand moved up. Danzo blinked as he heard Naruto's mask being clicked on as it roused him from his daze. For the last 5 minutes I have you, said Naruto. His mask was perfectly on once again. I want you to know something. Your precious Konoha would burn. Not now, and maybe not tomorrow, but someday. He tapped Danzo on the forehead. Danzo swayed from side to side as he groaned weakly. You will be a major player in its downfall. Everything in the room returned back to normal. The door, the window, everything was there as you were back in the interrogation room. You will slowly die, old man. With your age, I say it will take you 5 years when you can die for real. I personally never experienced what my demon clone can do. And I wouldn't want to experience it, but I'm guessing it feels like hell. As Naruto flicked Danzo's forehead with his other hand. Stay with me. You still got 2 minutes. Hidden rain scum, Danzo said. Now, calling me name won't change your fate. These are your last moment of conscience. Do you really want to spend it hating? He got no reply. Danzo simply fell over onto his face, his head licking against the table. Seems you want to sleep. I'm sorry, but sleep is the last thing you'll be getting. As Naruto watched the man as he counted down his head until he reached 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Danzo's head snapped back up. His eyes were black. His face was devoid of all emotion. Is it 1 hour already? Said Naruto with a yawn. The possession jutsu took a large amount of chakra from him, while Naruto wasn't lacking in the chakra storage department, as he had the largest reserves in the entire country, and he was right behind Nagato in the Akatsuki when he was still in Hidden Rain. As Danzo nodded, The smoke demon can perfectly imitate the victim for as long as the victim's main body was alive, feeding and leeching onto Danzo's core and chakra, using it as its own. The setback to this clone, despite the chakra draining rate, was that he couldn't just read the memories of the dying or the deceased. Still, the smoke clone was semi-independent and self-sustaining and also aware. The first time Naruto used this was on one of Hanzo's loyalists, as he had got a report from the man behind enemy ranks, as the man had sent him a lot of letters reporting on the ranks and what Hanzo forces were up to. When the clone was discovered, it took down as many of the other loyalists before it was taken down. The only thing that went up was a black fog. There was no backlash of memories or anything like that. Get to it, said Naruto. Yes, boss. It got up and marched out of the room, as he was stopped by the Goto group outside. He can go, said Naruto from inside, as the clone smirked before heading back to Konoha. After all, the Goto group thought that he was Danzo and not a clone. The first test was successful, so with that he made his way back to Konoha. As Naruto got up, sure, he could take a chakra pill, but the temporary increase would deplete on its own. Well, he would have to face this head on, as he waved for Sawaki and the upper rank, Dark, Country Defense Corps team to stand down. As Onion looked worried. Is there anything else we need to worry about? He directed that question to the head of his defense corps, the Goto, clan corps head. Makoto Goto was a man of average features. Normal height, light brown hair, and brown eyes. A healthy tan. He was wearing his clan and the country's colors, dark brown sleeve, shirt, and black pants, and shinobi sandals. His forehead protector was shifted to face the right side, and his Jonin flap jacket had yellow stripes across the torso, from over his shoulder and intercepting in the middle. He was in his late 50s, he had hardened eyes, deep burn marks on his arms. His last feature was a long white goatee going down his chin. He was someone that loved to curse, and his temper was, well, probably the one of the worst in the country. But he controlled himself well in front of his leader. My subordinates are scouting out the immediate border for any witnesses, and so far there are none, said Makoto. With all due respect, sir, what happened to the leaf shit, scum, Ratafa? Naruto held up his hand, making the man stop. He will be back in about 3 days. I want you to be the first person he meets. He will give you some documents, and I want you to pass it on to the BLA commander. As he patted Sawaki on the shoulder, rotate the border security every 2 hours for the next 2 weeks. I want a fresh eyes on the ground at all time. After that, we can go back to normal security rotation, said Naruto. He still saw the question in the clan head eyes as he looked at the other Goto ninjas. They also were confused. I possessed him, said Naruto. He waved them off to relax. Don't worry about it. I just need some rest. Allow us to escort you to the capital, sir, the man said. I don't want to disturb your duties, said Naruto. The man wasn't convinced as he saw Naruto swaying a bit and his eyes looked heavily lit like he wanted to sleep. As he was leaning on Sawaki for support, but he refused to pass out. It wouldn't look good in front of his ninjas. Makoto pulled out his walkie-talkie and he was about to mutter in a string code to summon one of the level 5 protective cards for the leader, one of the highest level protection reserved for Naruto alone. But Sawaki pushed on the radio. I got this, Lord Makoto. Escort Onion back to Konoha, she said. The man stood back and nodded as he looked at his commander. As he wished, Commander, he said, as his subordinates melted into the ground like clay, leaving behind no trace of them ever being there. It wasn't that he didn't trust Sawaki to look after the leader. After all, he was amongst the majority that voted for her to be the BLA commander over the groups. And she was his longest friend before the both of them were even known as Ghost and Blood. His problem was he still couldn't give her a proper scale when it comes towards power. General Bingo Book placed her on an A rank order with strict orders to flee on sight, just like Naruto. They all haven't seen her fight, but her prowess on battlefield follow her, like her battle that was known with Hanzo's ninjas. Her bloodline gave her an air of mystery. They didn't know much that she could do, but they knew that her bloodline placed her close to her teacher when it comes to power. Compared to most bloodlines in the country, able to control her blood and the blood of others, well, it made others' bloodlines seem rather weak. The people had seen Naruto fight, and Naruto's name across the continent was said in hushed whispers. But when it comes to Sawaki, as she always went on missions with 3 particular BLA operatives, as her team name was 11. The clan heads wasn't privy to the identity of the members of Team 11, and also they did not know what missions they went on. But the shinobis and civilians did know. Since Sawaki became the BLA-K commander, the missions have never stumbled or been jeopardized, as she was secretive, and she made sure that secretive was kept in BLA-K as well, so they trusted her leadership. Have a nice night, Lord Leader, the man said. Report to me tomorrow, Makoto said Naruto, as the man nodded as he went away. As Sawaki brought Naruto, as they were staying at a 2-bedroom house, until the tower was finished. Time skip. It's been a while since he had this dream. Hanzo stood on the head of his salamander, Chief Summing, his arms crossed as he looked down towards a lone shinobi. The battlefield was filled with corpses, broken trees, geysers trenched in the earth. The lone masked shinobi, the assassin, looked up at him, both fighters getting pelted by the rain. As Naruto cracked his fists, lightly panting for air, blue eyes staring into the eyes of Salamander Hanzo. He was stubborn, unhinged, not falling. 220 rain ninjas gone, dead. As Hanzo had tried to capitalize on Nacto's weakness and attack him, but Ghost didn't give Hanzo a chance. 4 hours and 30 minutes of fighting, and he was the only one left standing out of the army that he brought. As Hanzo raised his hand as he clapped, the sound echoing through the area, as Naruto was wearing the mask, with sharp teeth grinning on the front. That mirror, what will happen to his face after the battle with Hanzo? I have to give it to you, young man, Hanzo said. You're exactly what my ninjas say that you are. As he stopped clapping, a beast, his voice echoing around as he spoke, despite him not shouting. Too bad I can't convince you to stop this nonsense, Naruto answered. Rubbish, you say. Do you call the execution of my ninjas nonsense? They were imposters. They were my ninjas, Hanzo said, glaring at the ghosts of the hidden rain. Naruto simply shrugged. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm shit tired, dude. As Naruto went through hand signs, the dragon, the tiger, snake, and then back into the dragon seal. It was a short sequence of seal that Hanzo didn't recognize, but he bent his knees preparing for what was about to happen. As Naruto closed his eyes in concentration and whispered, Silent night. A hush broke through the silent field. As Naruto hunched forward, as hot, white lightning broke from his back, forming spiky skeleton wings with black smoke covering some of the lightning. The lightning, black wings, flap as Naruto went down towards the ground, as his entire cloak that was torn and ripped got covered in the black smoke. His hair rose up and started crackling with lightning, and it erupted, covered by pure white lightning. As Naruto opened his eyes, Hanzo smirked under his mask as he saw the amount of energy crackling within the boy's eyes alone. The dark smoke seeped over Naruto's body, leaving only his mask visible. The sky trembled and crackled with lightning. Are you a beast or a ghost? I'm not sure anymore, Hanzo said. The beast, the demon, whatever he was now, dig his claws into the earth. The black smoke seeping into it as the earth cracked, torn and ripped apart. He flapped his demon wings and spread them out, showing the lightning skeleton with the black smoke swirling around it. As he exhaled, black smoke leaving his nose and mouth. His eyes snapped towards Hanzo as the man looked at him. Shut it, said Naruto. What? Hanzo couldn't get to finish that sentence as a knee appeared out of nowhere. As he had to bring his hand up, he winced as lightning arced around his body. He leaped off his salamander's white wings, tried to grab onto him. Flashing through hand sign, Hanzo blew out a red flame, only for Naruto to blur out of sight. Hanzo landed on his feet as he had to bend back from a swat from a demon wings, twist his body away from a jab. As he looked up as Naruto's wings spread out wide, as Naruto brought his hand down, slam! A blade made completely from white lightning tore deep in his chest. Hanzo's eyes widened before he exploded into white smoke, leaving behind the corpse of a dead rain ninja. As Naruto blurred out of sight and reappeared back on top of the salamander, as both him and Hanzo start to clash in a fearsome taijutsu battle. Hanzo cursed as his fist harmlessly passed right through the smoke. As Naruto brought up a roundhouse kick as Hanzo had to block it, as he felt the sting in his hand. Hanzo jumped back as he launched several kunais towards Naruto and shurikens, as the lightning tore them apart. Naruto attached lightning strike to each of them before sailing them back at Hanzo. Hanzo calmed himself as he swift and dodged each and every one of them, as his years of training as a veteran ninja kicked in at that moment, showing his expertise at dodging. As he came towards Naruto, his fist rocking forward, meeting a full-on bolt of lightning as he stopped and ducked. As he tried to sweep away Naruto's feet, only to realize, as Naruto was levitating off the ground, he moved back from a tremendous slam that would have taken off his head. As darkness swept over him, Hanzo speed through hand sign, wing style, great wing breakthrough, as he blew the black smoke before rushing forward as he slammed his shoulder right into the mass of smoke. But the thing simply collapsed down with him as he was still surrounded by it. He quickly went through hand sign, water release, salamander slime, prison, he said. The back of the salamander that they were fighting on gave way as the black smoke prison was brought down into the stomach of the chief summon of the salamander. Hanzo had to turn as he blocked a roundhouse kick the moment he stepped out and got away from the smoke, only for Naruto to bring down his demonic wings on the Kage. As Hanzo bounced on the ground as he was sent sailing backwards. Hanzo shook his head. He felt like he was hit on the head with a large hammer, as he never knew the wings were so powerful. He looked around as he brought his leg up fast as it clashed against Naruto's wing, who suddenly appeared, only for Naruto to release lightning and smoke combination that blew Hanzo away. Hanzo smashed on the ground as he was sent rolling. He stabbed his hands into the ground to stop himself from going any further as he rushed forward, as Naruto rushed forward as well. Knock knock. Naruto snapped open his eyes as he looked around, waking up from his dream. He looked towards the clock, 2:13 a.m. He groaned as he sat up, swinging his legs off the bed. An hour of sleep, and he was fairly refreshed. He could get some work done, as he could sign off on the shipments of sweet potatoes and yam to Uzu. He rubbed his eyes and clicked on his mask as he stretched his back and his shoulder. There was another knock. The 24-year-old legend made his way towards the room of the two-bedroom house. On the other side was his student. Suwaki was in a large, white vest that he recognized as his own, and grey shorts that stopped right above her knees. She was barefoot and her white hair was tied up in a messy ponytail. Her hand was at her side, her head was tilted back as she looked up at him, as he noticed her eyes were tiny, bleeding red dots, as her fangs were poking out of her upper lip. "I need you," she said, as he looked at her, before stepping aside as she walked in. As he closed the door and placed up a silencing seal, the moment she was inside. "I need you now," she said as she pulled off her shirt and her shorts as she lunged towards him. "Please, Sensei," she said. The silent seal was a good move on her part. If he hadn't, everyone would have heard what was going on to the way she was screaming. Their night was really wild. About the same time, Konoha, Shinobi Ward, snidely lifted up an x-ray of her longtime teammate. Her eyes narrowed to what she saw. Orochimaru sat perched on her decks, skimming through results of other ninjas. "It's good that you came to me first, Orkai. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This looked bad," she said. Orochimaru looked up as he coughed into his fist. "It's slowly spreading through your left lung. As she looked at the x-ray, it's already got 1/5 of your left lung, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. I ran some tests in my lab. As he looked towards Snazzy, it's feeding on my chakra. How much longer do I have? At the pace that the virus is going, I would say a couple of years. Years? Snazzy nodded, certainly. Give or take a few years, she said. Your sage chakra is putting up a good fight. As there was 2 dots on Orochimaru's lower left lung. As he had inhaled some of the smoke when Naruto released his killer intent when they had tried to assassinate him. He was almost certain that Naruto intentionally poisoned him. After all, they tried to kill him and retake darkness under leaf control. He suspected when his lungs were taken over by the full potency of the smoke, it will result into a full system shutdown. Snazzy answered the unasked question. The bright virus didn't infect me because my sage chakra is stronger at healing than yours. Orochimaru scoffed. You almost sound smug, Susu. She shrugged. Sage chakra is still sage chakra. At very least, yours is still fighting. I would say at least 40 more years before what happens. Orochimaru coughed. Is it airborne? He asked. No, said Snazzy. Don't tell Hiruzen-sensei just yet. I want to run some more experiments on myself. I'm positive I can find a cure. Snazzy crossed her left leg over her right. Are you sure? You just don't want to go back and ask the brat to take it out? Well, if you were in his place, would you do that? I see your point. Orochimaru hopped off her decks as he placed his hands in his pockets, as his mind was working rather fast. Can you at least do something for me, Urkai? As you're looking for your cure, that is. He paused as he glanced over his shoulder. Please, just don't do anything illegal, she said. Orochimaru only chuckled as he left the office. Snazzy sighed as she reached for a bottle of sake inside of her hidden compartment in her decks. As she turned her chair around, as she looked off into the night sky through the window. As she sighed, time skip. At the Kamiri compound, at Dark Country, the deep voices of the soldiers jogging around the large compound resonated through the air. The training compound or facility was the largest one in the country, and this one in particular was meant and used by Kamiri clan members, though it was still split to support those of higher and lower ranks. The Jonins of the Kamiri clan were jogging, as this space was at least 40 kilometers. It was a track, as they huffed with each breath expelling thin, white mist. The men were bare-chested and the women wore tank tops or sports bra. They had on the black and grey cameo pants and combat boots. The clan of ninjas were primary, blonde hair and blue-eyed. Their skin color varying from pale white to mocha brown. They were probably the most diverse clan in the Dark Country, and they were probably the most dominant clan in the BLAK operatives, serving closer to the leader of the country as possible. As they were chanting as they ran, as the head commanders for the selective groups barked out orders as they followed, running operations and tests for events that might get them out there on the field, things that were unseen, things that should be focused on, things that they weren't ready for. Yes, they were preparing for everything. This clan of people were especially loyal to Naruto, the supreme leader of Darkness Country, and for good reason too. Their beloved leader was a birth member of their clan. They saw it as an honor and as a privilege to share the same blood as their leader. The clan of smoke users populated the BLAK. After all, the BLAK was a group that dealt with all the S rank or double S rank categories for the village, so they had to be in tip-top shape. They were like the envoys of the village. They dealt with things that the police force or the defense corps could not handle. Naruto was sitting there as he was watching his clan mates as they were cheering on. Honor to the smoke, the Jonin trainer said as he jogged, as the others behind him followed. Loyal to the leader. Life for our country. Success for Lord Naruto. The trainer of the group, a light-skinned girl, broke out in song. There is no hell in the service of our leader. There is no heaven for his enemies that come in sight. As Naruto chuckled, as he turned towards the Kamiri clan head and said, They're awfully enthusiastic. Lord Rimuru, said Naruto. Lord Rimuru was a war veteran in his late 80s, sandy blonde hair and small mustache. He was a dark-skinned man with heavy wrinkles on his forehead and cheeks. He had dull blue eyes. He was in a wheelchair as he was in a combat suit, despite his legs having worked since. They lost functionality in the Civil War, as he had on the camo pants and black boots, as he had on black shades. Also, a thick cigar in his mouth, as he blew some smoke to the side. You're a hero in these parts, Lord Naruto. You should have seen the party that we threw when we found out that the legendary ghost was from our clan. Oh, I can only imagine, said Naruto. Aside from being its main ninjas in the B, LAK is silent organization that took the dangerous missions for the country. They also wanted Naruto to be the leader of the clan. Lord Rumaru had agreed to the proposal as he lost his son, his daughter and his grandchildren in the Civil War. He had no direct family left, so it was only logical for him to appoint a younger, stronger person to take his seat. But Naruto politely declined as he explained to the clan head and the elders that he had his hands full with the responsibility of the whole country. Becoming clan head, adding on to his job, would divert his attention too much. The heartbreak was evident when the news broke out. In his place, he recommended them to train a suitable successor, and they followed his advice. As Naruto tilted his head, you said that this is the first training exercise that is qualified to become a BLAK, right? Yes, the first of two, the man said. The second being Sawaki training exercise. As Naruto slowly nodded, he was the one that wrote the requirement for the entry into the Black Ops. I'm still stunned how much people want into BLAK. I mean, you still have more regular Jonins and Chunins, but the best of the best want into BLAK. BLAK is the aspect, the dream of all ninjas, Lord Naruto. To serve at your side and perform key missions for the help, the security of our dear village is a dream of all average citizen. If only I could still walk, the man said. Naruto simply pat him on the shoulder. If you could still walk, I would have a serious competitor for my seat. The man started to laugh as he almost lost his cigar. You're a very funny man, Lord Naruto, he said. As Naruto laughed as well. But Nanako, Hako, the clan head of the Hako clan, and the only other high-ranking shinobi there with them, quirked up an eyebrow. I don't understand why anyone competing for your seat is amusing, Lord Naruto. The 50-something-year-old woman said as she crossed her legs. Why compete when you can't hope to win? It's a joke, Nanako, Rimuru said, as he exhaled more smoke from his lips. Something you won't understand. I'll have you know, you old fart. I know a few jokes, she said. Now, guys, said Naruto, trying to calm them. But the man turned towards her as he scoffed. I called donkey crap, he said. Fine, I'll tell you a joke now, she said. She cleared her throat loudly, distracting some of the man and women that were doing jumping jacks away from them. Why did the chicken cross the road, she said. The old man rolled his eyes as he simply leaned away from her. But Naruto was interested to hear what she had to say as he asked, why did the chicken cross the road? She brought her hand up and giggled to herself as she calmed herself. As she laughed again. To get to the other side, she said. As Naruto waited for something else, another punchline or something, but the woman just looked towards him with her eyes reflecting. As Naruto sat back in his seat, realizing that was a joke, as he started to laugh, Nanako looked towards the old man with a smug look on her face, not knowing that Naruto just did that, so the both of them would curse at each other, because that was not really a joke. I told you, she said, as the old man looked towards her, as Naruto gave him a look. Fine, he said. Nanako was a kunoichi from a strictly traditional clan, just like the Panza Senshi clan, so she did not truly understand the concept of jokes. Of all the challenges she had in her life, being funny or understanding jokes was always one of her great challenges. As Naruto sympathized with her, her upbringing was strict, mostly focused on being a proper woman. It was when that Naruto became leader, she started to simmer down a bit, trying her best to, mimic him to attract his attention. At the moment, she was into what she referred as informal combat wear, as she was in a shimmering green dress that reached her ankles, that had a slip going straight up to her left hip, as she was wearing a black shorts underneath, as she was wearing a black shinobi sandal, and on her head perched was a tiara with sparkling gems and rubies. The dress that she wore was sleeveless, showing tattoos on her arms. It was clan tattoos, as she had on rings and a golden bang as well. She was the leader of the clan that had control over the obsidian mines in the country, seeing that they were the only one that the dark, raw stone evil chakra didn't affect. The Hato clan, eyesight, and their mole summoning might have something to do with it though. The 50-year-old woman looked very good for her age, but her cold black eyes show that she has seen a lot in her lifetime. She had once commented that her youthful look was because of their diet, her clan's diet, and also some of the Uzumaki skincare products. As Naruto knew the real reason why she looked rather youthful for her age, similar to how Suaki could cycle and replenish blood around her body, thus sustaining her chakra, her youth, and her energy. And the Uzumakis were born into their longevity, being able to live for a very long time. The Hato clan could run nature chakra through their body because of their connection with their mole summons. The Uzumakis and Hato could still die from fatal injury, and also when they reach the full extent of their lifetime, their bodies way down. But Suaki, with her vampire bloodline, as she was the only one left in the continent, it made her immortal because of how she could control her blood and sustain her organs. But she frequently told Naruto over and over again that she would die with him when time comes. Suaki was currently heading towards the Gato compound to inform Mikoto Gato that their leader was currently in the Kamuri clan compound. As Naruto's mind wandered back to that morning, now only a few hours ago. Flashback, this morning, Naruto snorted in his sleep as he turned and pulled a small warmth closer to his body. A pair of arms tightened around him and a head rests into the crook of his neck. He groaned as he muttered, "You're staring, you weirdo," as he cracked one eye open, as her eyes were back to normal from last night. As she looked at him, as she had a small smile on her face. "Hey," said Naruto. Her smile widened a bit. "Hey," she said. "Yesterday night, huh?" said Naruto, his exposed teeth clattering together as he spoke. "Pretty crazy," he said. "It was awesome," she said. Her cheeks turned a shade of red as Naruto laughed a bit, his laughter warming her very core. "I'm glad you like it," he said. He casually looked away as she raised her eyebrow. "Maybe next time we can go a bit slower." She buried her face into his chest as she was blushing red. I didn't think that you would agree last night." "Well, you're not more forward than me," he said. "I threw myself out there," she whispered, as she was honestly hoping that he didn't reject her. Konan, back when they were still one big happy family, had always pushed her to tell Naruto how she felt. "I'm not gonna lie," said Naruto. "I always thought that you were only into girls." She looked up. "Seriously, Sensei?" she said. "You thought I was a lesbian?" she asked. "The way you kept looking at Konan are those rain medics." "Because you were standing right there," she said, as her serious facade broke apart. As Naruto raised his hand in defeat as he sat up in the bed. "I'm sorry," he said, as both of them were still naked from the last hurrah. As she looked at him, she might be willing to go with another woman. Well, as long as he would join in. "How about we have lunch together later?" said Naruto. She crossed her arms. "We always have lunch together," she said. "This time we don't talk about work. Just the two of us talking about whatever we want." She moved forward and she kissed his face. It still felt a bit awkward since he had no lips, but he allowed her to do what she wanted. He pulled back and looked at the time. 10:01 a.m. It thought that they didn't have much time, but duty calls. "You can shower first," said Naruto. She hopped out of the bed as she snagged one of his large t-shirts as she shut the door behind her, as Naruto swung his legs off the bed as he put on a pair of boxers and sat back down. Suaki was bloodlusted last night. Her attention for the past 6 months were focused on Onion and to her duties. As her pent-up bloodlust, everything had been just packed tightly. All of her emotions drive into a single box, not to mention Onion suppress, anger at the orphanage, seeing that the kids were continuously bullying him, and she could also feel it, and also her suppressing her bloodlust on her BLAK missions out of the country. And all of it was released last night. After all, she usually go to the Dark Forest to release her bloodlust, but if she had, she might have severed her connection with Onion so she couldn't chance it. As Naruto saw it last night, her eyes were so small, like a single dot, as her chest was rising up and down as she was standing at his door. If he didn't accept to release attention the safest way possible, he felt like he would all pour out on the people of the country. But their night revealed her affection for him, the one that he never had noticed. It also brought out the well of emotions when it comes towards her. He would literally go to hell and back for her, do anything to protect her no matter what. He had did so when Hanzo had held her hostage, Konan in his other hand. Hanzo had given the condition to his top ranks of the Akatsuki to choose Nagato to kill Yaiko to free Konan, and Naruto to kill himself to free Sawaki. The man always kept his word, so he would keep his word even if they died. As Naruto had put his kunai towards his neck without hesitation, but Yaiko had moved forward and impaled himself on Nagato's kunai. Hanzo had threw Sawaki as Naruto had moved fast and caught her. It was then Nagato used his Rinnegan and decimated Hanzo's forces, as Naruto cared for Sawaki more than he did for his 3 other friends. And he didn't want to manipulate her emotions like what Nagato did with Konan, as he cared for her, and he wasn't going to hide it, as he placed on his mask. As she called for him, "Sensei, the shower is free," she said. End of flashback. Now, he has business to attend to, as the Gato clan hit came over. But guys, it be ends episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this or not do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends on your social media platform. And remember guys, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, I have 3 channels. Anime King, this is Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button, and Anime King 3. Anime King and Anime King 3 links will be down in the description for you guys to enjoy, so go ahead and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support guys. And also stay tuned, I'm going to be posting a new episode over Anime King 3 and Anime King guys. So stay tuned for those, and I do hope that you guys enjoy each and every one of them. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.